Well, it's me again, and this is my podcast and my world, where I take you along on an adventure where we get to explore everything and anything that goes on in my mind. Oh boy, is it random, is it crazy, it's nuts, it's all over the place. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's have a good time. And have a good time we shall. So, get yourself, okay, maybe not that cup of coffee, but grab yourself something good, because today I'm going to tell you a story. So I want you to sit back, get comfortable, and relax. And this podcast here, this is my 12th podcast. I can't believe I've done 12. That is so awesome. This one is going to be a little bit more fluid, I think, than the last two that I've done. And this is the third time I've done this style podcast, where, what's going on is what you see on the screen right now, I am seeing right now as well. And I'm basically doing a voiceover on a video that already exists. Oh my gosh, I just gave away my secret. Well, the audio that you're listening to is a lot more crisp and clear than it's been recently, because I found this way, or this technique, of running it through a headphone setup. This is something I've been wanting to do for a really, really long time, is to give you a lot better audio. A lot of people that I've spoken to that listen to my podcasts, and it's only been, a week or so that I've been doing this, they listen to my podcast and they're usually doing something else. Either they're watching another video, or cleaning the house, or doing something else. And I know the flow for at least the last 4 or 5 that I've done has not been very smooth. And I'm hoping with this one's smoother. This one will be a lot better. So here's to the future. Lift that cup of coffee, and let's toast to the future of Graham's World podcast. Hopefully they get better and better and better as time goes on. But then again, only time will tell. So I'm gonna take a quick drink here, really quick. I got me some iced tea today. Yes, iced tea, unsweetened iced tea, because I've got to do better for myself. So, the last podcast I was talking about Red Dwarf and how I like British comedy and all that kind of stuff. And towards the end, I mentioned something about liking a British soap opera called Coronation Street. Well, I'm going to tell you the history of why or how I ran into Coronation Street. And it's it's quite interesting. But in order to tell you that, let me give you a little history on my family. I am 50% British. My mom came to America at 18 years old, which was back in 1973, to become a nanny for a British doctor. She did that for about 4 years there in New York. And so she was a doctor in New York for about 4 years. And, what did I just say? I'm brain dead right now. She worked for a British doctor as a nanny, taking care of his kids for about 4 years. And they were a Jewish family. And my mom, she just normal, white British woman. So there were things that they did around Hanukkah that she liked, and so she decided to continue to do. And one of them was bagels, cream cheese, and lox, which is also known here as smoked salmon, thinly sliced smoked salmon. And that was something that they would have at Hanukkah. I believe it's Passover, but I'm not 100%. I'm not not. I know a lot about Jewish traditions and that kind of stuff, but I'm not as familiar with them as I have been in the past. I've forgotten a lot of stuff, but please forgive me on that. So, my mom came over from England, and then in 1979, married my dad, September 15th, 1979. They got married. And then probably around 1987, I think, 88, I asked my mom a question. Now, my mom used to watch Days of Our Lives, As Time Goes On, or whatever it was called, and Passions, or what she used to watch American soap operas. And she made a comment. I asked her, because I wasn't into them. I was going to school. It wasn't my thing. But I asked her, well, what is it about these soap operas that you like? She's like, well, it reminds me of being home. My mom used to watch EastEnders and Coronation Street, and she mentioned a couple of other ones, Upstairs, Downstairs, that kind of stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay. And probably about a year or two went by, and I remembered her talking about a show called Coronation Street, and I said, can you tell me more about it? So I was, at a young age, I was very interested in this soap opera. It just sounded fascinating. And my mom didn't give me a whole lot of information, but she said that, it was really old, and it's been going on for a long time, and they probably still have it, she said. It started, back in the 50s, she thought, maybe even early 60s, and but it was something that she really enjoyed watching. But we here in America, we can't get it. It's not BBC. It's the other one, and it's one of the British broadcasting things. And so, actually, I think it might have been BBC. But anyways, couldn't get it here in this country. And so I was probably about 17, and I discovered the internet, and I discovered torrents, and that I could download stuff from all over the world. And one of the very first things I downloaded was Coronation Street, and so I started watching some Corey, and I really liked it. I only got 2 or 3 episodes, but I really kind of liked the vibe of it. It just was intriguing to me. And then I would say probably around 2011, 2012 maybe, I ran into it again. And I said, you know what? I am going to go in and I'm going to download as much as I possibly can. I want to go as far back as I can, and I want to watch them. And I had access to, pretty much anything I wanted. So I started downloading from 2010 to current, and at the time, like I said, it was only like 2013, I think. And so I downloaded them all, and I started watching from New Year's, or I guess it was Christmas of 2009, and started watching. And in 2010, they just happened to be one of the biggest things happened that I got to watch, where there was a train. It's like a subway car, basically, but it's a train crashed onto Coronation Street, and I just fell in love with it, and I just kept watching it. And my wife, about 2013, it's about 2014. I watched them all back to back. I just went crazy on them, and my wife says, "Oh my gosh, this is really kind of cool." So she started watching a little bit here, a little bit there, and she says, "You know what? I got to start from back where you did and move forward." And so we did that. And so we watched 2010, 11, and 12. And then a couple of years went by to 2015 or so. And the wife says, and by that time, I already downloaded everything from like 1976 forward. So I've got, I would say I own, out of the Coronation Streets, I probably own somewhere in the range of about 8 terabytes of hard drive space worth of Coronation Street. And some of the files are pretty small, so that tells you. And they release, 3 episodes a week, sometimes 4, depending on the situation. So, but yeah, I own them all, and I'm current on them. There is a guy in England. His name was Dean. And all these years, Dean was giving me the torrent for them so I could have access to them. Now, I'm putting this information out there to let you know that what I'm doing is illegal. But there's so many people that do it. It's not fair. Let me be honest. It's, in my personal opinion, these were released to the general public for everyone to be able to have. It's no different than my uncle or my aunt in England recording them on a VHS or a DVD when they play live, putting an envelope and sending them to me. So I'm not selling them. I'm not making any money or profit on them. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I just have them for my own personal collection so that I can watch them again if I want to, which I have. I am so in love with everything about Corey. It's just amazing. So, and it gives me a window into what it's like to be English, what it's like to be British in today's life. I feel like I was robbed as a child. My mom came over, married an American, but we didn't have any extended family anywhere near us. It was just me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. No aunts, no uncles, no nothing. I don't know what it's like to have family. And so I had, as a youngster, I had a lot of frustration and anger and that kind of stuff that was directed towards my mom for coming to America. I've forgiven her. It is what it is. And, but, there's no change in the past. It's done. It's over. But, move on and make the best of it, right? But, so I feel like it's a window into another world where I came from, like, and to know a piece of my history, my genealogy, who I am, or part of where I've come from. That's what it is to me. You hear a lot about people talking about Black History Month, or wanting to know more about their ancestry and wanting to be part of the past and getting to know more about who their roots are and who they are. Well, that's what I'm trying to do with Coronation Street, because it's very much everyday life on this show. It's very much real. The way it's filmed is very, very realistic. No different than just sitting in a room with somebody and having a conversation with them. So you really get to feel what it's like to be British and to be there. And so I think that's really what it is I'm so fascinated by. And of course, the storyline with the people and stuff, I've just really fallen in love with the people. They're all like family members to me. And when you watch one die or move away from the street, you get really sad. At least I do. I get choked up sometimes. There's one lady in particular that was on the show, and she was an amazing actress. And she was a little different. She wore a wig. Her name was Haley Cropper on the show, and she was married to a guy named Roy Cropper. Roy is very simple. He's a very simpleton. Very, very down to earth and very, very simple. And he owns his own cafe, and just an absolutely awesome guy. Somebody who just would love to get to know, but he doesn't let everybody in. He only lets a few people into his world. And his wife was born a man, and his name, I don't remember what his name was, but Haley was the name he chose, and went through a sex change operation became Haley Cropper when they got married. And but that was never, through the storyline, that was never never something talked about. It was never something that was brought up. It was mentioned once or twice and then pretty much forgotten, and moved on. We all knew it, that she was born a man, but then they were always upset. She was always upset that they couldn't have babies. That was one thing she wanted, was children. But they tried to adopt and foster children and that kind of stuff. But they, anyways, she got cancer. She got sick and got cancer. And it was just so sad watching it happen and unfold. It was so horrible. She lived the best life she possibly could towards the end. She did everything she could to experience everything in her bucket list, and she had planned on taking her own life. She knew what that type of cancer was that she had, and how painful the death was, and how she didn't want to be incredibly drugged up and didn't want to have to go through the pain and suffering and all of it. And so she chose to overdose on pain meds, and she took her own life. And it was one of the most heart-wrenching episodes I've ever watched, with her laying next to an amazing husband, embracing her and letting her go. And it was just so romantic. He didn't want her to do it. Matter of fact, nobody did. They were all against it. Not a whole lot of people knew that's what she was doing. There was only a couple of people that knew that was the plan. And she even tried to hide it from Roy. She tried to keep it to herself because she knew that Roy would try to stop her. But she did it anyways. And he ended up walking in on her just as she was starting the dying process. And he knew how bad she wanted it, so he just embraced her and let her do it. And almost ended up in prison for it, for assisted suicide. But that's the thing about this show is that I also love, is they touch on so many controversial topics that really need to be addressed in our society, and they're topics that, as people in our world, we typically don't discuss. We try to sweep things under the rug and act like they don't really exist. It's kind of like the AIDS epidemic. We just kind of try to dismiss it and act like it's not really there. Same with cancer. You find out that you have cancer, and you try to keep it to yourself. You isolate yourself away from people, and you don't talk to people. It's just the way the world is. We're so afraid to be different or to not fit in with the norms of society. And I think it's essential that we do that we fit in with norms, or not fit in, that we break the mold, that we accept our differences and we embrace our differences and we talk about it openly, and we are who we are. It's so vital and it's so important for us to do that, to be that way, because that's what makes us human, is our differences. I mean, we're like fingerprints. Every single one of us is completely different from the next. Every one of us. And those differences is what makes us so special. I was talking a couple episodes back about how men and women are different, and we're designed to be different. Not one is better than the other, but yet they complement each other, and they do it perfectly. It's a positive and a negative on a battery. You can't have one without the other. They are are one and the same. And when we start breaking them apart, that's when we start having problems. Oh, darn it. Oh, I'm having so much fun. I didn't realize what time it is. I gotta go, you guys. It's running out. The clock is ticking. I love you all so very much, and I want you to have a fantastic rest of your day. Remember that you are beautiful, and just be yourself. Be unique. And until next time, I love you, and bye for now.
This has been a Graham's World broadcast, brought to you directly from Graham's mind. So stay tuned, because there's more to come.